Yeah, where does Danny Elfman get those wonderful toys? And by toys, I mean musical ideas for his film scores. In a word, Herman. Bernard Herrmann was the most influential composer Hollywood has ever known. And I know everyone out there will say John Williams, but no, Williams learned a lot from old Benny, being 20 years older than Johnny T. Herman was an effective film score composer. He employed radically different styles and approaches. He utilized modern orchestration techniques, created new sound textures, and made modern harmonies accepted in film. His musical style was bold and direct, and not typical of the day. It was completely antithetical to the approaches of Max Steiner and Alfred Newman. Let's see what Herman does musically with one of his cues from Journey to the Center of the Earth. Look at these two chords. They are F minor and A minor. They are two chords whose roots are a third apart and share C as a common tone. Today we recognize this movement as chromatic median. In an upcoming video, I will dive deeper into this house of harmony and detail its origins, but that's for another time. Listen to the following example. You can hear the chord movement in this cue. This is but one of the many examples found in Herman's music. Tell me you don't hear the Batman theme.
Yeah.
Sitting in all those darkened theaters, a young Elfman would have been exposed to much of Herman's music. Listen to this short clip from Score, the podcast, Season 3, Episode 1. Danny Elfman himself is talking about the influence Herman had on him.
I was a film fan, and I was also a fan of some film music, because Bernard Herrmann connected with me when I was about 12 or 13, and I started noticing his name every film that he was on.
Elfman was clearly inspired by Herman's music. Let's look at the Batman theme, which Elfman uses to great effect in this cue. The theme is 6 notes, which includes a rising and falling figure. We all know the melody, of course, but it starts on the 1, then goes up to the 2, minor third, and skips way up to the flat 6. Drops down to the 5th degree, and then lands on the sharp 4, which then becomes the 3rd of the major 2 chord, A major in this example.
What?
You could think of G minor as the flat 7th chord and A major. In Neo-Riemannian theory, the flat 7 minor chord is the furthest away from the tonic. Click this link if you want to learn more. The chords essentially move from 1 minor, G minor, to the 2 major. Learn this pattern, boys and girls. Love it. Go to bed with it at night, wake up in the morning with it, and have breakfast with it. Play scales made up of notes from it. Much of Elfman's music, and in fact film music in general, rely on this harmonic pattern. Take a listen to this motif from Basic Instinct. James Newton Howard used it for his King Kong theme. Alan Silvestri used it for a film he scored called Identity. And here is John Williams using it in Hook. Elfman also varies the theme so that the melodic phrase rises into a kind of natural modulation, allowing for the theme to continue in another key, a minor key, which is actually a whole step lower than the beginning key. In this example, the theme starts in G minor, but cadences in F minor. Now for the cue. It begins after Batman's plane has just crashed. Vicky is rushing to the wreckage to investigate when the Joker quietly moves in on her. The cue follows the action of the two of them climbing up the stairs of a massive cathedral with Batman in pursuit. In between, there are cuts of the police pursuing. The cue opens with a figure dispersed among the brass. After the opening brass, tremolo strings play a rising and falling figure using notes from a D minor 6 chord. Notice how the second violins play the same notes as the firsts, but they start 2 beats later. The harps add to the texture, starting with a glissando into 16th note falling figures. The tonality shifts down a whole step in bar 7 to C minor, and strings again play a rising and falling tremolo in bar 8 through bar 11. As Joker holds Vicky at gunpoint, Elfman introduces these shifting augmented chords, around bar 13, the implication of which is the whole tone scale, and is the loose theme of the Joker. He doesn't get a theme per se, but rather the whole tone scale tonality itself, which includes augmented chords and just general whole tone clusters. Winds dominate this section of dialogue, with oboes leading the charge and accompanied by organ. The first chord in 13 is an F sharp augmented, which moves up to a G sharp augmented. These chords shift back and forth until the final D9 sharp 11, a chord that underscores the shot of the cathedral's tower in bars 22 to 23. Two harps play a glissando figure marked ad lib, a blurry up and down figure on top of a tutti brass and string chord that contains all the notes of a D whole tone scale, except a B flat. Flutes, log drum, and Chinese woodblock nervously sound out during this augmented section to capture Vicky's fright. Since the characters are climbing up a cathedral, Elfman features the organ throughout this augmented tonality, and much of the cue. The two leave the scene, and after an A-flat minor 6 chord in bar 27, Elfman introduces the Batman theme as our hero rises from the wreckage.